everyone.
Hello, good morning, everyone. My name is Mary Allegra. I'm a TESOL COL-IS board member, and today I will be the moderator of this webinar presented and arranged by COL intersection of TESOL International. And today we're going to have a very famous presenter. For me, one of the best COL specialists nowadays, and she's Shelly Sanchez Terrell. Yes, and I need to talk to her about her a little bit. Shelly is an award-winning digital innovator, a STEM teacher, and the author of Hacking Digital Learning with EdTech Missions, the 30 Goals Challenge for Teachers, Small Steps to Transform Your Teaching and Learning to Go. She has trained teachers and taught learners in over 20 countries as an invited guest expert and has been recognized by several organizations and publications as a leader in the movement of teacher-driven development. As the founder and organizer of various online conferences, Twitter chats, and massive open online courses. She was named Woman of the Year by the National Association of Professional Women, awarded a BAMI Award as a founder of EdChat, and named as one of the 10 most influential people in EdTech by Tech and Learning. Her greatest joy is being the mother of Savannah and Roscoe the Pug. She regularly shares her tips for effective technology integration via Twitter and on her blog, teacherrebootcamp.com, which has won several awards and recognitions as one of the top ESL EdTech and learning blogs. Today, Shelly is with us, and she will present Lights, Camera, Action video projects for language learners. And everybody, those who would like to interact with us today, you have a chat in the video session in which you can make questions for Shelly that will be answered at the end of this presentation. So now, Shelly, you can start. Welcome to this webinar series of COL Intersection TESOL International Association. The floor is yours. Thank you.
Well, thank you so much, Mary. Muchas gracias. And one of the reasons I'm here too is because I actually got to spend about 2 years in between months being hosted in real life by Mary and several people in Venezuela. And it was one of the greatest times. I loved it. It was an amazing experience. Today, I want to share with you about video projects for language learners. But it's even if you're not a language teacher, and I believe like many of us are now, because there's so much movement now that definitely, in your teaching career, you're going to have someone who speaks another language. Video projects really do motivate learners. And so when we were thinking of a topic, I was thinking of, so some teachers have often asked me, I have students that are not very motivated. They're like technology, but they're not too excited or engaged. How do I get them engaged? And my answer and response will always be a video project, if that can be done. One of the reasons for this is because you don't even need a lot of technology. You could just have your one. A lot of times I started by just having my one camera, and even with the classroom full of students, I was able to get them together and create a movie. It's all about the director. So you kind of see this image over here, and it talks about direction, title, scene, camera, and those are all kind of elements that are part of this, and the steps and process that go through it. But one of the reasons why so many, and by the way, throughout this presentation, I tend to speak a little fast because I want to get through so much information that I want to share with you, resources and tools, because I know you may be working with very young learners, you may be working with teenagers, you may be working with adults, and video projects are for all of them. But so I can share so much. I do show you the different sides, but you can go to shellyterrell.com/video. You'll have the slides there. You can also, thanks to COL, I ask you are able to watch this recorded so you can go back and you can slow down and go to the parts that you really, really like in this presentation. Um, and next, I would like to tell you, you can definitely always come back. You're invited into my Sunday brunch of different web tools and technology and resources and ideas for videos. And with any type of buffet brunch, you take a plate, you get 2 or 3 items that look very yummy, and then if it doesn't work out, you come back and get some more. So I want you to treat it like that. Don't feel like you have to, pick those 1 or 2 items that really apply to your situation, and that can make it to where you make those steps to doing this. One of the reasons why videos are so engaging is because and more I would like to say, so right now I currently teach elementary students. I teach over uh, 225 second and third graders last year, and we're doing video projects. We're going to actually be doing stop motion this year. And then last year it was second, third, fourth, and fifth, over 400. And we did like video tours, we did commercials, we did a lot of different um, types of videos too. And so I'll show you some of their examples as well. But when I walk in a classroom, my students, even they told me, a lot of them, they've already started YouTube channels as young as first grade. I have several right now who have started their, YouTube channels. They are YouTubers. They're very into YouTube culture, and these are my second graders. And so, it's definitely that students are very, very engaged and interested in video production. A lot of them, not only is it beneficial because they get to have their voice, and a lot of times that's the big word in education is student voice, less teacher talk time. And so this is definitely one way that you can project that student voice, but it's also creative as well. And it also teaches a lot of technical skills. So that's why I think video projects are really amazing. But it's not only student voice. Now, students, you'll notice in the world, are able to, with their voice, influence many, many others. They end up as teens, very young, wanting to transform the world with their voice. And that means they have to capture an audience. They have to be able to move that audience. They have to be able to persuade that audience. And all of that is something that we can teach. So even if you feel like, oh, my students are already YouTubers, they're already, that doesn't mean that you have nothing to teach. You definitely do. We have the ethics of this, and I think that's very, very important. Also, what kind of videos they make, we can encourage them to be more creative. We can encourage them to take their learning and to put that learning in those facts in those videos, which is super important. Digital literacy, because we see a lot right now that so much fake stuff is coming around. So there's a lot that as teachers we contribute and make their student voice and the way they reach audiences more powerful. There are different types of, and I'm going to go ahead and lower the screen right now so that way you're able to really see, this slide presentation. So you won't see my video for a few, minutes throughout. There's different types of video projects. I'm only showing you a few, but and like I said, you can go to shellyterrell.com/video. You can go to teacherbootcamp.com right now and you can see a lot of this information as well. And I have also links to posts that tell you about all of these, well, a lot of these different projects, and gives you students examples and gives you free templates and handouts that you can um, copy, edit, use with your students any way you want. They're free. I also have some in my books as well, that you'll be able to, that you can access. Uh, as well, and it explains the process and tells you, different types of examples from teachers all over the world. And so one of the easiest ones I started with is a movie trailer or a commercial. Those two, if you're just starting. And there's a couple of reasons why I did that, because you can do a commercial about anything. If you're teaching science, you can have a TV, and also because TV commercials are very short. They're 30 seconds, 1 minute or less. And that's what you want to do, especially if you're working with a room full of students. But a TV commercial, it could be, if you're in science class, it could be about an invention. If you're in math class, you can create a commercial about a new math product, or you could do a movie trailer. A movie trailer is just saying that the students have a bigger idea for a movie, but all they're doing is doing the movie preview. They only have to do a few scenes of it. So you can make a movie about anything. You can do a commercial about anything. Geography related, if you teach biology, if you teach chemistry, physics, you can invent something. Well, students can invent something and then show their ideas and then produce a commercial about it, something very, very short. So I'm going to show you a few that a few of the ideas, and you can see a blog post with many, many more of the way that I set that up with my students. Um, and then the movie trailer. So the commercial can be an individual project. A movie trailer is two people or more, only because it could be an individual project, but it's good with video projects. And that's something that I get my students to understand. And it's very hard for them, even little, to be able to do group projects. But we start off with two, and then we work ourselves up. But one of the reasons we teach that with video projects is because if they're to enter, and I'm a STEM teacher, that means my focus is project based learning, but we do science, technology, engineering, math all in my classroom. And that's what the projects all have to integrate. And so, integrating all of that, my students have to know that if you're in any kind of STEM career, then if you're an engineer, you work with the team. If you're in the video movie, any kind of things with video, you work with a crew. You need an editor, you need someone who's filming, you need someone who's gonna, the creative ideas, the editor. So there are different roles. And I think it's really important to teach students that. News report, that can be another option. I'll show you how to do that. You can make a news report about anything. You can travel to the past in history. Some of the great ones I saw were mythology videos. So one of the links I have in my blog post, and also on shellyterrell.com/video, is about ones with John Samuelson. He's on Twitter. He's amazing. But his students did one about mythology, and they did the green screen and were able to get like different gods and goddesses and interview them as a newscast. So you can do a newscast about anything as well. You can take it back to the past. Music videos, students love music. That's what my fifth graders ended up doing during their free time when they finished their videos. They loved it so much that they put pictures together, public domain stickers, and made it's photos, and then they made their own videos, music videos. How to videos are super popular. You see them all over Facebook, where it's three supplies, and then they do something magical with like with a bunch of stuff at home, how to make a whole entire shelf with cups or something like that. So those are very, very popular as well. And that teaches instructional language. And that's the other part about this, is depending on what type of video project you do choose of any of these, you can focus. You can make a focus. You can say there's a language focus, and you can make a grammar focus as well. As well as the content. So it's great for CLIL. So those are some of the ideas. I won't be able to share all of them, but I will share some of them. And so I'm going to show it first, and you can see this here with this is the how-to video, and this is one of the projects I did about 2 years ago with my learners. I was teaching English learners. I was teaching low literacy as well, high school, and also college level, just entering into college, community college program. And so we were learning about process analysis. That's the type of writing. If you're English language teacher of writers, then you'll probably know about process writing, process analysis. But this is also really important to STEM as well, in science instruction, coding. We talk about learning how to give good instructions. So this relates to a lot of different types of even in math, you have to do this as well. And so what the students had to do is they had to work in groups of 3 or 4, and then what they did is they had to write down first steps. They had to decide what they were going to teach others in a video, and then they were going to have to write down the steps, and then they were going to produce a movie show, I mean a little video showing what this was about. And so you can see the first part here, they're doing how to do this braided hair. That's what they decided. They did such a good job, and their videos are posted here at teacherrebootcamp.com. And you can see the link, DIY video process analysis. And it's because this is also called a do it yourself video. There's whole entire communities related to this. I think it's really wonderful, the DIY movement. So that's the other great part about teaching video projects is you may not know, but once you're in the YouTube culture and once you are part of this whole entire video production culture, which our students are, a lot of them, they know a lot more. And that's actually how I learned a lot, is by interviewing students. But they have challenges they give each other. So the way that they keep becoming influencers and the way that they keep is by doing different types of videos. And one that's very popular to get onto that is the DIY, do it yourself video. And so a lot of our students are that what that shows, I believe, with so many doing it, is that people really want to teach others. And that's one of the best ways research has shown that we do is we teach a lot. We want to assess our students if we want to see, really showing what students are able to students being able to walk someone through a process, be able to do good instructions, and then they have to produce and make the videos with it. So I think that that's very important. Um, so when you do this, there is a process to go with this, and um, so I'm going to show a couple of these videos examples and then walk you through the process that it is. You can use, so some of my students use, I give them a choice, and I think choice is very important, because if your students have, if they have already some knowledge and background and they're a little bit older, then they might be able to introduce you to tools they already have on their devices, tools that they're used to working with, and that can speed up the process if you don't have a lot of time. And the reason why I say that is because you have to learn the video editor as well. So if you do have the time, you can introduce them to one tool. Biteable is a very good tool. It has templates. It has ways to make it look graphically beautiful, very professional. It's really, really nice. My students did like working with Biteable. What I will say is, if you do work with a web tool that gives you those options that make it so much easier, you're not going to have as much creativity as without a tool. So I would recommend doing one with a tool, one without a tool, so you can see the differences. And then also part of that, as far as the creativity goes, the more you brainstorm without the tool before, um, and then you stick to that brainstorming, then the better and the more creative that video is going to become. And so that's something you have to teach students as well. So this was another example in a post you can find a problem solution video. This is where students had to define a problem. They actually wrote a research paper about it, with citations. They had to have 3 to 4 different data sources, and then integrate that in the essay. And then they made a video that shortened, that was the main points of that essay. And it had to define the problem. So it had to give those different types of um, data and facts that they researched. And then they had to come up with a solution for everyone in the world. Since they were making a video and they knew during the research problem, they had to give them a process of solving that solution. So here's one about Snapchatting while driving. And one of my students did. Another one did a fantastic one on internet addiction. I loved it. It was wonderful. And they use different types of web tools. The one I was talking about earlier, the TV commercial, you can see at teacherbootcamp.com/invention TV ad. This is actually something, a whole entire lesson and resources and everything I wrote about in my book, Learning to Go. So if you happen to have a copy of that, then the second version, the second edition is being produced. So right now it's not currently available on right now, but it will be hopefully in the next year. So this TV commercial, you can see a bunch of this ones made by the students. They used different tools as well. Some decided not to use a tool. Some decided to use Powtoon. Powtoon is very popular. I've seen very young children use Powtoon as well. Students love it. The same thing. Make sure that they brainstorm and everything without the tool first. Have these ideas and commit to these ideas when making the when using a web tool. And one of the reasons I say that is because learners, what they tend to do is they see the web tool, they love the templates, they love, oh, I want this one, and I want this, I want a boom, I want an awesome, I want a wow. And then everything they brainstorm, which is super creative from their head and their brains, just goes out the window because they want all the flashy, glitzy stuff. And so that's why I usually tell them, oh, well, you have to stick. You have to have at least a majority of your brainstorming inside the videos, and that's helped them become, a lot better. News broadcasts, you can find them in this link. A lot of them are actually, the ones that are shown are links to John Samuelson, and he's on Twitter, and so he does podcasts. He's a great person to follow, but you'll see he's inside this post to how to follow and everything. But they actually have a fair where they have guests from the community come and judge, and they submit from all the school districts from K all the way to 12, like every grade. They have the schools all submit the videos, and it's a big festival, and they showcase the videos, and they have a couple of winners in each category. And so it's a great way to be able to see different types of video submissions. They have all of them that I mentioned earlier: documentaries, claymation. I put this example of what news anchor is because the news okay, I don't know what's going on here. I hear some noises in the background.
Yeah, I mean,
My
we disconnected for a few seconds, but we are back. Do not worry.
Oh, okay.
I think
Okay.
we can continue. A problem with the internet connection.
Oh, okay. So one of the things I did see is that the process really works because I was able to step around in classrooms all over the world: Venezuela, Brazil, Croatia, Slovenia, different places around the world, get a room full of students, never met me before, never, and then walk them through that process, and it worked. They produced amazing video productions. And so the process, I think if you stick to the process, if you can make it what it is of your own, like put your own stuff in it, but if you have the process, then you can make and it's not with any process, anything new. Of course, there are going to be a little bit of hiccups. We had a lot of major ones, mostly with internet connection, and so I learned a lot about that. So, and also submission times and things like that, duties, due date, responsibilities. So if you're having it, have them work in projects together, because if you don't have a lot of time, if you don't have a lot of technology, and if you don't have a strong internet connection, and one of the reasons is because then fewer videos are produced, so that shortens the time. Second, you want to limit the time limit, so you want to make them about a minute or less. They can do great things in a minute or less. Plus, it teaches them editing, which is very important. And nowadays, research has shown, because I'm also, an influencer and things like that, that Smaller videos, I mean, shorter videos actually capture more of an audience's attention these days. But also, when you're uploading, it's not going to be so challenging on whatever internet situation you have, or collecting those videos won't take as long. If you have a 5-minute video, that could take hours to upload. If students don't have a good connection, if they're not, already on YouTube, if there's all these things that come with longer videos. And so that's why I start with smaller. There's also getting students to work together. It's important to have handouts to guide that and give them the time to do that. Sometimes a lot of times, I'm a firm believer of timers. We have timers in the classroom. Use classroomscreen.com, has free timers. They see it, they're used to it, they see the countdown. You've got 5 minutes to come up with an invention and brainstorm, some ideas right away. And then, okay, we have 10 minutes. You can have two people go to the computer, start doing research on your invention, while the others, gather together and decide, what's going to be the elements inside the video. Or maybe they want to divide it. Maybe someone has decided they're an artist and they want to draw, and then maybe that's going to be what they're going to add to the table. But give them that time to work together. There's a lot of different duties for anyone, and I explain that when they're doing a video project. You don't have to be a good drawer. You don't even have to be the actor or the one in front. There's usually always someone who does want to be in front of the camera. And let that person be. You do have to have parent permission to be able to do that. If you are, especially if you're going to broadcast it later. And so, seek, permission in a permission form. But you can also use characters. You don't have to, if it's 13 and younger, especially, you may want to have instead where they invent a character. So, like my second and third graders, we're going to be doing claymation. They get to, make a little character out of clay, and that gets to be their actress. And they can dress up in costumes so you don't see their face. You protect them, you protect their voice by changing the voice. There's a lot of options, so that way, if parents don't give permission, then at least they can be dressed up, and it won't come to where you're still protecting that student. Props, what kind of props are they going to have? What kind of music? Who's going to be the music editor? Does someone going to be want to be responsible for that? And within all of these, we also teach Creative Commons, or how to make sure that they're taking that responsibility of not taking copyright material. And so, also, what kind of someone's going to have to do the recording. So someone that's very camera shy, that doesn't want to be in front of the video or part of that, they don't have to be. They can be the person editing. There can be the person recording. So or the one drawing, making the scenes. Uh, then there's this process as well. So after all of those different areas that they have to work together to put in a video, there's also the brainstorming. They have that research phase I talked about earlier. And then there's always some kind of storyboard with any kind of video. That's a type of framework of working. And I'll show you what that looks like in a little bit. The recording it, the editing it, then remixing it. You can remix and that could be a process. Remix means that you take, and that's more along the lines of what happens now. Is now students don't necessarily produce all the sound effects or produce that audio that's coming with their video. A lot of times they'll take one that is available online. That there's a lot of music artists that produce great stuff and they want it heard, and so they allow you with a Creative Commons license to be able to use that within. There are images we know. Pixabay, Unsplash are two of the ones I use for a lot of my. They're public domain images, and you can use them. You can credit the author if you want. You don't have to. You can buy it if you want. You don't have to. You can make like a donation if you want. So it's up to you what you want to use. And I have all that at shellyterrell.com. you'll find different resources, or teacherbootcamp.com on Creative Commons. You can just do a search for Creative Commons. And then broadcasting it, actually making it go live. When you've edited, seeing that there's no grammar errors, seeing that, the dialogue is good, that there's no technical errors. And that's one of the things I really do like about the process is, at first you'll have student videos and they're awesome and amazing, and then it's like, oh no, there's that glitchy part, or there's that very, very noticeable grammar error. And so it's great for students to be able to go through the process, to be able to look back and be able to view their work, and that way they're very, very proud that they produced their best and put out their best. So there's a lot of different ways. This is what my Learning to Go book has, and a lot of my books have. They have those ways that students can brainstorm, can put it together. So you can see in this book trailer Storyboard, which could be used for a lot of things. They have the title, the book title, that, and actually some of my fifth graders did this as well. They did excellent work. Um, um, they made little trailers for their favorite books, and like the diaries, and the Dork Diaries, Diary of a Wimpy Kid, a lot of different books. And so they had to put the book title, the author, what was the setting, the book URL, the plot description, what are the list important events, who are the main characters, a description, and then they have their storyboarding. What's going to be the story backgrounds, what is the scene 1 description, scene 2, scene 3. So there's a lot of writing involved as well. You don't see all the writing that's actually in the video, but there's a lot of writing and research that goes before the video. And so one great thing about video production is that you tie in the 4 skills. You really do tie in that writing part. You tie in that the listening, the speaking, and also the reading as well. So when you do all of this, it's also important that you have elements like a checklist, rubrics, so that way they know what they're graded on. But also, when you do a checklist, you can add. That's where you can make it very content, grammar, vocabulary specific, the way you want it to. Oh, you have to have, this has to be in the past perfect. You can tell them what kind of grammar tense it should be in, or that could be one of the criteria. The grammar has to match the tense, and the visuals have to match as well. You can also add, you must use 5 of the vocabulary words from this unit, or you can say so you choose what it is, what elements you want as well. This is one actual storyboard filled out by one of my students before they did their stop motion type of video. They decided what kind of movie they would make, genre. They did romance. They described their video to people: daily routines, big dreams. This was an adult learner, by the way. And so they put the description, the dialogue, what audio they wanted to use from a very music archive, and then decided they didn't want any effects. And so this is what the brainstorming looks like. And it's different types of frames. At the end, they can put it together, and they can put it and produce their video. If you are very unsure about all of this, there are ways that you can that walk students through it, and then you can just be there as a guide and support. So I do this sometimes. I want professionals, obviously, to teach my students the best. I'm definitely not a filmmaker. I didn't win any awards at the Cannes Film Festival or anything. So you can invite a guest speaker or guest mentor to come. There's a lot of you would be surprised, but there's a lot of production companies. There's a lot of people that are just making it, who have small indie film, or they're starting out as film producers. This working with students and be able to show it, they get really excited to be able to do that, to teach their art to others. And so you can find some mentors that way. Look at the colleges, look at your artistic communities. We have a lot. First Friday in San Antonio, there's different ones in Houston. So there might be some of those. And then, but if not, there's this one. And Acme is awesome. I love them. It's from Australia, and they actually have modules, and they walk students through every single step, and it's absolutely free. It's awesome. It's amazing. And the students just go through the modules. So there's a lot more reading and writing there because they have to go through the module. Modules are great to teach students too, because that's how we learn as adults. You're watching me online, and you're doing this online at your own pace. You can go back, you can review. And so even like in America, if we get a ticket here, we can go through an online training to be able to an education to be able to get rid of that vehicle, that traffic ticket. So a lot of my trainings at my school now as a teacher are modules. I take a lot of modules each year. So modules are definitely part of the way that we work, and so can teach our students too. They're video lessons basically with the modules. Not only do they walk them through each step, but in each step, and you can have them do a screenshot or whatever they produce, because they're producing things through the modules. You can have them submit that through a Google form, and then they grade it from there. So that's one way to be able to collect all this. Or they can submit it through your LMS or a virtual learning environment. That could be Seesaw, that could be Edmodo, that could be whatever way that they can submit it. Or maybe they can print it out and then show you the work that they did as well. You decide how you want to collect it. But they show them a little small video. They let them know this video is what is a storyboard. They have a brief description on the top. I didn't even show you that part. And then they walk them through each part of it, storyboards for beginners. So they're walked through every part of the process. They really learn about it. Learning your camera is super important. And I'm going to wrap up pretty soon, but so there are certain ways to be able to use your camera to make the best kind of capture of whatever they're capturing. And the footage, that's one thing. So that's the thing about video production. If you do it without these apps, and then you have to capture that footage then, and that may be the only time you get to do that particular one. And that's a little tough for students to understand if they're doing like real life kind of footage and stuff. So rule of thirds, how to align it so that way it's going to be much easier. With an image, it's easier to edit, but with a video clip, not so much. You have to find a video editor that's very advanced to be able to crop a video clip, or to be able to make it even and not shaky. That sometimes requires money with production. You have to get a advanced like Final Cut or some kind of software like that. Having them review their camera settings so they get the right one. They can even do slow motion. They can slow it down. I mean, it can be very complicated, and you can see all the technology that they're learning here. These are like higher tech skills, and it's great that you're teaching them that within the framework of them being creative, and that's going to help them be more creative if they knew the tool and how to use the tech. And it also teaches them about tech tools. So if they learn how to do video production, their audio production project, or their poster design project, a lot of these are going to be the same kinds. The way they cut and paste is going to be the same or similar to another program for audio, how they cut and paste for that. Or for if they're using a spreadsheet, you would be surprised that a lot of the technical knowledge goes through a Google spreadsheet as well. How to make something bigger, how to and there's a lot how to change it around, copying, pasting. A lot of that is in different types of programs as well. So these are video tools and apps. OpenShot, really awesome software. You have to download it on a computer. It's free. That's what I used through my fifth graders last year. Awesome. Advanced video editor. I can't even believe it's free. It's so good. You do have to upload Creative Commons pictures, and you have to upload the audio and all of that. So you do have to do the search for all of those. It does not have like a library of free images and stuff. If you want a library of free images, free transitions, all of that, you're going to have to go with Clipchamp, Powtoon or Biteable. They have some editing possibilities too. They make things look really great for production. They have templates that students can follow. They do have a little, the free versions have like little branding, at the bottom, but I've never found it to be a big problem. iMovie, really awesome. Plotagon, I'll show you what that looks like in a little bit. But these are all types of free video too. You just decide, and the decision is going to be based on what kind of technology do you have. I had a bunch of old desktop computers that were very big, so we used OpenShot. Another time now this year, we got some iPads, a few iPads in the classroom from a grant, and now we can use things like iMovie to be able to do it. Plotagon, Toontastic. Toontastic works on Google Chrome. Chromebooks. You can do Video for Chromebooks if you have Chromebooks. So it just depends on what you have. If you want an app, iMovie is also an app. There's some that are apps as well here. So this is what openshot.org looks like. Works for Mac. It is software program that you actually download, but it's absolutely free. Wonderful. I love it. Advanced video editor as well. I think you might even be able to do green screen with it. This is what Biteable looks like. You can edit the scenes. Look how beautiful that is. That is just so beautiful. And they have storyboards built within them as well. They make it very simplified to be able to produce a video. My students found it very easy to use. Powtoons, they love that. A lot of students love Powtoon. They have different templates as well that they can choose from. Like I said, you can get it done a lot faster, but it may not be as creative. And then you do have to walk students through things like visual rhetoric. And what that means is where they place their text, what kind of fonts they choose, the backgrounds, if you can see that, matching, making sure that the little person that they chose actually matches what it is that they're talking about. If they're doing, for example, here you see a template for Mission Mars, and you can see that the font looks good. The reddish is part of that element of Mission to Mars. But if they use the congratulations or the graduation one, then that's not going to be very that's not going to match with that type of video or the genre. My Simple Slideshow, a lot like Powtoon as well. It's another option. Plotagon's a little bit different. So on this one, they create their own characters, and then their characters interact together, and then they have dialogue, and you can add other fun elements as well. This is really great for young learners. This is a great one to start off with. If you're just starting with producing video, because it's just them making dialogues and then also the characters, they're building them and stuff. Toontastic, fantastic. It's more making like an animated cartoon or play or show. Get Puppet, another iOS app. You can do a lot with this. You can even annotate. It's a lot like if you're doing a video on Snapchat. So that's why students like it. It's great for DIY videos, how-to videos, do it yourself. If you do a tour, so let's say like here, you can see the Roman Colosseum, but if you do an actual, a tour, like over here, you're doing, for example, you're walking them through something or a tutorial, then it works well for that. Students touring their own cities, they want to share like a different type of tourist attraction. That's good. Texting Story I put here because it's language teachers. It's a great language learning app just because it makes a video of two characters having a texting conversation. And so you could take anything from a book that you're sharing or characters in history. Stephen Douglas, that's a popular one, the Stephen Douglas debates that I use. Them debating. If they were having this debate on text message, what would it look like? Or Shakespeare, Romeo and Juliet, this is the scene. They're trying to meet together with their families not knowing. What does this conversation look like? What is this text conversation? That's a lot of fun for kids. Very fast, easy video they produced and can be a lot of creativity. I recently discovered this one because Gapsy, one of my favorite apps for creating video with augmented reality, it no longer exists really. So AR Avatar Director looks like a really fun one. It's only for iOS devices, but basically you make yourself into an avatar. Then you project yourself in a real world, your room, anywhere. So it's augmented reality with your own avatar. It's super cool. You change the emotions. And so that can be a fun way to also protect students because it's their avatar on there. It's not them producing. ZimmerTwins.com, really great for young learners. Devolver, teens, I would say adults. They choose the characters and scenes. Make a video like in seconds, minutes. My older learners, my um, college students really did like this one as well. They thought it was a lot of fun. And so that really worked for them. Green screen. There's so much green screen ideas out there. Green screen is awesome and amazing. We will be using that in my classroom this year. So all the ideas for that you can just find. That's a little bit like after you've done a video, then move on to green screen. And when you feel confident doing this with your students, then you move to green screen because it's something very, very cool, but it's so cool. It's almost like magical in a way. So these are the ones that I would recommend doing. You have to pay for iMovie, WeVideo, TouchCast. They have free versions. Location and lighting. Once like I said, once they produce it, that video clip, you want to make sure that it's in that's the clip that they're gonna want to use, or else they have to go back and do that again. And if you're traveling as a field trip, let's say you went to the museum and they all have to do a video explaining that exhibit or the highlights or the points, then they're not going to be able to go back again. So just think about that. And then finally, hosting and collecting. When you host and collect, it's up to the things that you have. You can upload to Dropbox. You can have them uploaded to a Padlet, a Linuit, a Google Drive. They can put it in their Drive, or an LMS, Google Classroom, Edmodo, like I was talking about earlier. TESOL is what we use. And we also use Google Drive. YouTube or Vimeo, if they're already on there, or if it's adults, they may want to put in their own YouTube or Vimeo. My college students prefer to do that. And then I gave them that option if they want to produce it on their own YouTube channel, as long as they gave me a link. And bet on a website or blog. You can put it on a Weebly, a Google site, and show it so everybody can see it. Host a student film viewing party, invite parents, invite the whole school. They're gonna love it. Have popcorn, and then you can see, like, even if you can't show all of them, then maybe the top ones, and they can celebrate each other. If you do a class movie, that could be one too. Each person or each pair is responsible for a different section of the movie, and then you put it all together, and then you have this awesome viewing party, and it's amazing. So if you have any questions or anything like that, you can ask me them now. You can find more resources here. You can see student examples, and if you need any help at all, then I am available to be able to give you the help. If you go to Shell Terrell, Twitter's usually the best way. You can also email me. It's not as easy, but that's where you can find me. So I hope you learned a lot and are excited to use videos with your students.
Just great. It was a very enriching presentation, Shelly. I loved it, and I suppose that I'm going to see it again afterwards. I mean to see everything you have been saying in this presentation. I mean, you name, I don't know how many resources we can use in the classroom, but still, some people in the chat have some questions. Okay. And this is, very interesting. What type of video projects would you recommend for Spanish middle school students? And that is Evelina Riaza, who is here in South Carolina. She's asking that.
Okay, so there's a couple. One of the ones that I think would be good is a tour of the culture, and then a showing, or it could be a DIY, a do-it-yourself, how to make something, like how we one of my students, we did that with an international festival. And then so like our Asian students, some of them showed us how to make their hot tea. They had a special hot tea they made, and then they did it in their language, and then they did the steps. It was very simple because the steps are one sentence, just a few words, so everybody can understand. And then there can be a translated version of that as well. So that's what I would do. something like an instructional video, a short do it yourself. They teach us something about the culture, and people will love that because people are learning the language, but then also they learn something about the culture, whether it be how to make a doll, how to make, for me, tortillas,
Mm-hmm.
how they do the flour or something like that.
I understand. Okay, okay. There is another question, which is very important because we not only do things for formative assessment, right? Sometimes we need to evaluate our students when they make these videos, right? And Shams at Doha is asking, Shams says, what rubrics do you use to evaluate video projects?
So I have some video project rubrics and stuff in those different links I shared. But we always have a section for grammar and the spelling, the grammar for that. So students pay attention to that. The other part is always the background elements. Do the background elements clash or do they support? Pay attention to that. Yeah, yeah. And then the other is also the graphics. Making sure that they're not overwhelming. Making sure that they're not that people also the visuals of it. Can people understand? Is there clarity? So what is the audio and the production value? Can people read what is on there? So those are the different elements that go in the actual rubric, and then of course the creativity. What kind of ideas did the group have a good creativity, and then you can also do in the rubric if they're teamwork or group work, you can put that in the rubric too, that they're able to work together, how well they work together, whereas there are a lot of team conflict, then one person do more than the other. So those are all elements within a rubric.
Yes, you're right. And my question, I mean, we have some other comments, but I have a particular question. You said that we need to invest some money, right? Some money in order to buy certain resources. But which of those you mentioned in your presentation are free for teachers? You know that we are not rich people. Educators are not rich people, and we don't get
Right.
so much money. I mean, which of them are free? To inform everybody.
So everything on here has a free version, everything. Only if you want to go in advanced video production, and that's why it's important to capture. So if you want advanced video production, those things you have to pay for, and those aren't mentioned in aren't put in slides. But those would be like if you get super advanced, then the Adobe has some. Final Cut is one that's very popular. They're expensive, but the ones that I shared and the ones that are linked in the post are all free. They all have a free version. They just might have like a little Powtoon on the side or a little biteable, but I'm okay with that. My students were okay with that. So, but they're free. Devolver's free. All of that's free.
Oh, that is so great. I have comments. English students says, great, Shelly, as always. I don't know his name or her name, but English student says that. And also Auntie Haro says, awesome presentation as always.
Hi,
And
Aunt. I love
do you know her?
Yes.
Okay, she's from Greece, by the way. Uh-huh. And then I have English students is also saying, when will you do another EFL Talks video? You are a fan favorite, and you are
uh,
Rob favorite too.
talk to Rob about that.
About what? About this
So many
presentation?
amazing presenters, but Rob knows anytime he wants me, I'll say yes to him. So, yes, whenever and I know he's particularly busy. Congratulations! I think he got a recent award
Oh,
last couple of months.
look. I mean, English students is Rob Howard. That's
Oh,
why.
congratulations, Rob!
Okay, and Auntie says, hello, Shelly. Okay.
Hi, and she does amazing video work as well. So she is in some of my posts too for her students. Great work.
So great.
Her sixth graders in Greece.
Well, as you said at the beginning of this presentation, we're going to have these recorded, and you can have in 5 minutes, you can see this on our YouTube channel on the Call Intersection TESOL Association in 5 minutes. When we finish in a few minutes, you will have it. And Shelly, we thank you a lot for this presentation. We love having you here, and we'll still love to have you next year in our webinar series as well. We hope you have enjoyed it.
Yes, I have. Thank you all so much. Have wonderful, happy holidays.
So, yes, happy holidays for everybody. We wish you Merry Christmas and Happy New Year on behalf of the Call Intersection of TESOL International Association. Next year, we'll be back with more webinars for the whole community. Thank you very much. This is everything for today. Bye.
Bye. And thank you, Mary. And call TESOL.
Thank you.